Do we know that we are surrounded by culprits that are involved in disease transmission? Well, in this video, we'll be identifying these culprits. We'll list examples. We'll appreciate how they carry this disease or infectious agents and transmit them, causing diseases. Then we'll list the kind of diseases they can cause. And at the end of the video, we'll see how to prevent these diseases. Well, what are these culprits called? They are called fomites. Some people pronounce them fomites. Well, for the purpose of this presentation, I'll be pronouncing it as fomites. Yes. What are fomites? Well, fomites are inanimate, meaning they are not living things that can carry infectious agents and transmit it. How do I mean? They are inanimate objects that can carry infectious agents and diseases and spread it. In other words, they can be referred to as inanimate objects that, when contaminated or exposed to infectious agents, can transfer infection to new hosts. Well, what do you think these things are? Let's look around us. Is there anything that you think can carry, is there anything around you that you think can carry infectious agents and can transmit it? Okay, for example, how many things have your hands touched today? There's one going out, you touch the knob, the refrigerator handle. Are you in the office? There are files. Have you touched the files? Desk computer, your phones, your keys. Any of these can act as fomites. So let's give examples of fomites. I'll start from the cell phones. The cell phones is one of those inanimate objects in our environment that have been identified to carry a lot of bacteria. For example, there was a recent research that over 5 bacteria were isolated from a cell phone. Some of these bacteria isolated from phones are bacteria that you are familiar with. For example, your Staphylococcus aureus, Enterobacter aerogenes, Staphylococcus epididymis, Micrococcus luteus, Neisseria sicca, Proteus mirabilis. Other fomites include door handles, doorbells, towels, toilet seats, even the chairs you are sitting on, and many more. So any object that is inanimate and is capable of getting contaminated and transferring infectious agent or diseases are called. So you can name them. Anything, your car key, anything. In the hospital settings, we have the sphygmomanometer, the thermometer, etc. Well, how do they get contaminated? Well, there are many ways that pathogens will end up on the surface that will pose a risk for disease transmission. One of the major ways that this thing get contaminated is from hand. You know, in a whole day, you don't even know what we touched. From the doorbell to the refrigerator, we get our hand contaminated. Other ways are sneezing, coughing, contact with body fluids of any kind, contact with infectious agents through any means can result to contamination of this fomite. What are the likely pathogens that these fomites could carry? Well, there could be viruses, bacteria, fungus, and molds. What are the diseases that could result from fomites? They range from respiratory tract infection to sexually transmitted diseases, and then common cold, upper respiratory tract infection, for example, pharyngitis, laryngitis. They can also cause lower respiratory tract infection, They are involved sometimes in causing otitis media, ear infection, gastroenteritis, where you see diarrhea very common, especially in children. They can cause serious transmitted infection like human papilloma virus infection, gonorrhea, syphilis. They are also involved in transmitting infection like hepatitis B, hepatitis A, and also hepatitis C. How can we interfere with these fomites that will not result in infection? We already know, since we say one of the major ways of contamination is from hand. So here, hand washing is a key. Other things we can do to prevent this transmission is cleaning of surfaces, good hygiene around our homes. Thank you for listening.